What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 14, episode 1. So, disclaimer, I'm not a tree hugger. I don't even know what they call Melissa's people. I don't know. The Gorgats? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what y'all call them people. I don't know what y'all call yourselves. But I don't go up for neither one of them. All right. To me, Dolores said it perfectly. Everyone is tit for tat in this group, and nobody's hands are clean at this point. So, if you don't agree with my opinion, if I speak about something that you don't agree with, I don't have a problem with you being in my comments disagreeing with me. It's when you get disrespectful, is when you get blocked, and don't do that. Especially, and don't be nasty in the comments. You can voice your opinions, and I'm cool with that as long as you're respectful. But let's get into this review. Y'all. So before we get into it, y'all know we get a little spicy over here, just a little bit. So the first things up is this statement that John Fuda released on Sunday after the episode aired. I was like, that was quick. So y'all know, and we'll talk about it in the review, at the end when John and Teresa got into it, Teresa was like, "You're the biggest drug dealer in Berkeley County." Well, John was like, "You're not going to ruin my good name." So he released this statement, and bear with me because the font is small, and y'all know I be tripping over my words. So it says this. It says, for immediate release, John Fuda responds to RHONJ castmates' attempt to disparage his character, Ramsey, New Jersey, 5 of May the 5th, 2024. It goes on to say John Fuda, esteemed entrepreneur, philanthropist, has issued a statement in response to the recent attempts by his fellow castmates on Real Housewives of New Jersey to bring up his past in an effort to cast him in a negative light. In recent episodes of RHONJ, certain cast members have resorted to dredging up Mr. Fuda's past in an attempt to discredit him and undermine his reputation. Despite these efforts, Mr. Fuda remains steadfast in his commitment to integrity, honesty, and personal growth. While I am not proud of while I'm not proud of every aspect of my history, I have worked tirelessly to overcome challenges and strive for a better future. I refuse to be defined by my mistakes. A respected figure in his community, John Fuda has dedicated himself to numerous charitable causes and business endeavors. His contributions to society far outweigh his missteps of his past, and he remains focused on making positive impacts on the world around him. I'm grateful for the support of my friends, family, and fans who see me for who I am today, a person dedicated to growth, kindness, and authenticity. Mr. Fuda adds, I will continue to rise above the negativity and remain true to myself. Mr. Fuda responses to serve as a reminder that everyone deserves a chance to evolve, move forward from their past, and free from judgment and condemnation. For media inquiries or interviews requests, please contact fudacommunications@gmail.com. So here's my thing. I don't think he's wrong for speaking out if he feels as though his character is being tarnished or despaired. My thing is, this is reality TV and this is what you signed up for. Like, you signed up for your ex-wife to come out, especially when last season y'all tried to paint this picture that this lady was irresponsible as a mother. Why would you not think she was going to come out and defend herself? Not saying that they're not wrong if they are telling the truth, that she ain't treated the kid right, she didn't do all these things, but it's like, if you can defend yourself and you have this huge platform, why would you not think she would come out and do the same for herself? On top of that, you're on reality TV. People are going to go back and dig up your past to throw it in your face. Like, that's the game of the social media aspect of reality TV. And the part that always irritates me about these two, especially, it's more specifically John, is what fans do you have? Y'all were on one season of Real Housewives of New Jersey. You probably have a few people that like you, but to be my fans, and I feel like that's why I think a lot of people think John and Rachel are thirsty, is because it's there. Like, I'm not saying that, again, I don't think it's wrong for him to defend himself if he really feels like his character is being despaired or his reputation is being tarnished. But there is this underlining like thing of like, we're thirsty and we come in to make a show, which I don't have a problem with. But you trying to play the game, you got to play you in the game, you got to play the game. That's what I'm trying to say. So, next is this tea about Danielle. Girl, so this lady by the name of Karen Day Simone came out to say that she did like several hairstyles for Danielle that she wasn't paid for. I'm getting this from All About the Tea. All About the Truth. They said this. And this is what the lady says. She says, "Stay tuned. I will be posting all hair looks for season 14. Hashtag RHONJ at Bravo TV." She said, "Even though Danielle never paid for this look, she did promise to promote and circulate all my work. Instead, she took me for a spin and decided to block me. I still feel," she said, "I still feel it's only fair all my work be promoted as promised. What do you guys think is fair?" And then she has hashtag Bravo, hashtag Real Housewife, hashtag Bravo TV Addict. And then someone also posted what she was like liking in the comments. So another user by the name of, I think it's Dana Marie 04 said, "Not the first time I heard of her messing with someone who had a service done and then screwing them over." And then Karen responds by saying, "I'm sure it's not, but trust me, this was more than a service. I did so much for her for 2 years. This is very personal." And then this lady by Vicky Zoe said, "Oh girl, I grew up with her. We ran in the same circles. I can tell you all." So I guess they're alleging that this is a common thing that Danielle does, which is getting services and not paying for them, allegedly. I feel two ways about this. One, girl, if she didn't pay you the first time, why continue the services? I get that you feel like being paid in promotion would have been better, but I'm just like, you should have stopped servicing her. So I think you have to take accountability for that. But I'm also looking at Danielle like, that's messed up to not pay somebody for services. Like, you have a business, the whole bougie kids thing, you would want to be paid for your services as well. So that's wrong. That's messed up. But let's get into this review. Now, if you see me looking down, it's because my notes are in my phone, and that's where my phone is placed. But the episode opens up and we get a flash forward 3 months where we see a huge altercation take place. Like, everybody is yelling at each other at the table, and we end up seeing like a waitress or a waiter or like a whoever staff at the restaurant like cleaning up, like sweeping up like glass and like food on the floor into like a I don't know, what do you call it, a pan, like a dustpan or whatever. And Dolores is just sitting at that table like, girl, how we get here? Where do we go from here? Finding out that Dolores is a Capricorn, she makes more sense to me now. Because honestly, but she's a December Capricorn. She's not a January Capricorn like me. It's different. But it makes sense. It makes way more sense to me now. Why certain things she does. I was like, oh yeah, girl. Like, I get it. Even though I don't agree, but I get it. So, we then start getting into the actual season. So we settle on this scene with Rachel and her family. They've moved to a new house. Her daughters are a lot older now. We see the stepson. I think his name is Jaden. He looks taller. We find out that I think the youngest daughter has like a speech impediment, mainly due to like, I guess it's like a deformity, because she said something about like her palate or like her frenulum or whatever, something being messed up in her mouth. So I guess either they can do surgery or she can go to like speech therapy to like help her speak better, which I'm like, okay, cool. That's life. So we see her family comes over because they're in a new home, which is like an hour and some change away from her family, when previously last season she was only 30 minutes away. It's a pretty cute looking house. You can tell that Bravo check is hit John and Rachel, because a lot of things in their house looked brand new. Even when he was like messing with the grill, I said, that's a brand new grill. Okay. My family grills. So like my dad loves loves the grill. So I'm just kind of like, ain't no char, ain't no burn spots anywhere. I said, that's a brand new grill. And then even the dish, like the dishes on the table when they sat outside as a family, gave like either we just went to Home Goods and bought this stuff, or it just came in by way of Amazon. But I'm not hating. I'm just things that I pick up on. So they're sitting at the table, and basically what we find out is that Rachel and Jennifer Fesler's husband want to throw a surprise birthday party for Jennifer. Jennifer Fesler looks good for 55. I knew she was older, like I don't want to call 55 old, but like I was like, girl, you look refreshed. You look good, sis. So they want to throw her a surprise birthday party. And I guess Jennifer's husband was like, invite everybody, including Teresa and Jennifer. My Jennifer Aiden. And Rachel's grandma was like, even new nose Jennifer, a nose job Jennifer. And I said, see, grandma. And that's the thing about New Jersey. The families are involved. I think that's what sets New Jersey apart from the other shows. Like, there's certain things that work for certain franchises. Like, when you think of Beverly Hills is the money franchise. When you think of New Jersey, it's family. Atlanta, we know that's the black franchise and the one that reigns supreme from the beginning, okay? OC is the original one. Like, every franchise, Potomac colorism. Every franchise has its own like thing, but my thing is like, when the families get involved, I just get annoyed when the girls get mad when the other castmates start to hit back at their families. My thing is like, you can't be mad if someone starts talking slick about your grandma, Rachel, because I was like, for you to bring up that lady having a nose job and your granddaughter sitting right here right now has like the tip of her nose is so sharp that you can like break a brick with it. Girl, no. Like, when Margaret called Rachel a Tim Burton character, she was trying to play it off like it was cute. Girl, that was shade. Because most of them characters are not that cute. And I enjoy some of Tim Burton's work, but like, Rachel looks like a reject from the Corpse Bride movie. So I'm just kind of like, or Frankenweenie. Frankenweenie I always watch during Halloween. But I'm just like, girl, let's not do that, no, grandma. Let's not do a no-no. Let's just not do that, grandma. So she's like, yeah. And I guess Rachel texted Teresa and Jennifer. Jennifer didn't respond, but Teresa did. And I guess Teresa thought that was Rachel's way of like extending an olive branch. But Rachel is like, no, I'm just inviting you to the party. Like, it's not like that. So we leave that scene and we go to Melissa's new house. And I'm glad that y'all bullied Melissa and Joe, because when we first saw that house, it was ugly. Like, the windows were weird. It was ugly. And I remember watching this one guy who, on TikTok, he pretty much was like his major, or like he worked in architecture, and he was just going through all the housewives' homes and like explaining things. And when he did a breakdown on Melissa's and Joe's house, I agreed with everything, because I was like, certain things don't make sense. Even the outside of the house was ugly. But I think because everyone told them it was ugly, he went back and redid it. It looks way better. Way better. There's certain things in her house that don't make sense to me. But I think the pool looks nice. It's a nice home. Like, it's a pretty nice structure. So I'm glad y'all bullied that lady. So, or really bullied Melissa, so Melissa could go cuss out Joe to fix their house. So we see them, we find out that Antonia is going to University of Delaware, so they're preparing to get her off and ready to go to college, which is crazy. And I think that's one of the cool parts of looking at these reality shows, is seeing the kids go off to college. Because for me, watching these shows, some of the people's kids, I went to college right around the same time that their kids went to college, so that was relatable to, like, for me to be like, oh, like they're going to college like I am. So I just always thought it was cute. So she's going to University of Delaware. I thought it was funny when Melissa was trying to explain to Antonia that you can't bring everything to college. Like, all your clothes won't fit because a closet is about that big. She's not lying. When I went to undergrad, my closet was like my closet was probably about like this big, no, maybe a little bit bigger, but there was like a vanity. Like me and my roommate, the way my dorm was set up, or the like our dorm building was set up, is that like your vanity was in your closet. So like I had like a mirror about like that big with like the, the vanity lights, and then there was like drawers, like wooden drawers built into the closet for you to put your stuff in. But a lot of my stuff I really had to be realistic and like either donate or give away, because it was like all of my stuff can't fit in here. So she was like, I'm gonna bring everything. I said, girl, you can't bring everything. So, Melissa's excited for Antonia to go to college. She was like, she's glad that she's going to be out on her own, because she says she feels like she's like clingy with her kids, or not really clingy, but she was like, her kids rely on her too much. So now she wants them to gain their independence, which I think is good. We then go over to Teresa's house, and Teresa is also, gearing up for her third child. No, it's her second oldest, Gabriella. I like Gabriella. Out of all the sisters, she's always quiet, but like you can tell like Gabriella probably be saying the most like truth out of everybody. But we find out that she's going to University of Michigan, and Teresa is like sad but also excited for her, because University of Michigan was the first like her first choice, which is always a great thing when you get into your first choice school. So she's going there. We find out like a really nice story about how Gabriella, when Teresa went to jail, she told all the kids like, email me every day. All of them didn't do that, but Gabriella was the only one that emailed her every day. And like one of my mutuals said, girl, Gabriella probably gonna get 10% more in the will when Teresa go, because Teresa was like, that's something special to me. So she was telling her, girl, I cried all day yesterday, but she's excited for her to go to college as well. And I think it's just crazy to see that like we really saw all of them like grow up, and now they're going to college. But it's exciting. Like everybody is excited. And Teresa is just like, my kids are leaving, but they still have one kid left. We find out that Gia moved back into the house after graduating from college. But I think Gia's also working at like an office as a paralegal. So she might be trying to go to, go get her law degree. But I remember they have one other daughter, the youngest one. I don't remember her name, but she got 4 more years. So Teresa's not an empty nester just yet. We go back to Melissa's house, and we see, the kids sitting on the couch. And there was this exchange between Joe and Antonia where I was like, where I think Antonia said, I'm like, adios, like I'm never coming back, or something like, oh, I'll never come back. And Joe laughs, and he was like, you'll be back. They always come back. But the way she looked at her daddy was like, you think? And the reason why I say that is like, I've always noticed the dynamics between the way like the Gorga kids, even with the dynamics between Teresa and her kids. Now, I'm not saying this to say that Joe and Melissa are bad parents, because I don't think that, but they definitely give, love your sons, raise your daughters types of vibes. And I feel like Antonia is like in a lose-lose situation in this, because she is the oldest and she's a girl, and she probably had a lot of responsibility thrusted onto her, and to watch over her brothers, and then to behave a certain way as the the oldest daughter, that I feel like once she go to school, she probably gonna get a taste of that freedom, and sis might not want to come back. I can see Antonia only coming back during like Christmas, because Christmas break in college is like a month and maybe a week, and then Thanksgiving is maybe a whole entire week or 2 weeks almost. I can see her, that's the only time she coming back. But I don't see Antonia coming back for Easter, fall break, spring break. I feel like she gonna get to Delaware, make some good friends, and live her best life. And I'm not mad at it. I am not mad at it. But they're sitting on the couch, and Melissa brings up how Jennifer Fesler's party is coming up, and everybody's invited, and your sister's gonna be there, Jennifer Aiden's gonna be there. And then Joe's like, F them, like who cares, like you give a about them. And I'm like, okay, that didn't need to be the response, Joe. But we then see Melissa in her confessional pretty much saying like, I don't really want to be asked anything about Teresa. I'm fine. Like, I don't need to say anything about her. I don't need to, I feel nothing for her. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if you're going to stick to that, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that both Teresa and Melissa stick to, we're not speaking about each other. Like, we don't fool with each other. Like, there's no family here. There's no friendship. We're deading it. And then they bring up how, Teresa thought that, like, she had enough pull with the network that they was going to get rid of her, going to get rid of Melissa and Joe. And Teresa did. Teresa was sitting high. Teresa was on her high horse, feeling like, they gonna get rid of you and I think that's the network's fault, because Teresa was able to get rid of Kathy and Rosie and all of that over there. So I think since she was able to like get them and ice them off the show, I think she thought she still had it with Melissa, not understanding that there is a good portion of people that go up for Melissa, and the feud between Melissa and Teresa has driven this show, that I don't think the network was just gonna get rid of Melissa because of Teresa. They wasn't gonna do that, girl. So I don't even know why you tried to like pull that move, but you learned that like you ain't got that much pull. So they were laughing at that. So we go back to Teresa's house, and they're having family dinner with Louie's son, and then the rest of the girls. We look at their wedding photos. Teresa didn't look bad. I didn't understand the hair, but I think the best thing about Teresa is them daughters. Like, her daughters are beautiful, and I love how they really support and love on one another. And I feel like Teresa should have had like a spinoff show where it was just her and her daughters. And she didn't have to interact with Joe and Melissa because like when it's just her and her family, she's a lot more palatable, and like her interactions with them is a lot nicer. But maybe her kids don't want all of that. But they're going through the book. We then have this interaction between Teresa and Louie, where Louie was like, we've been through a lot. We've been married for a year. The situation with your brother, and I like the fact that Teresa didn't even go down that road with him. She was like, focus on me. When we go to that party, just follow my lead. Don't even worry about that. So I like that she cut it off. Because to me, this is my thing. To me, I've always felt that like other people kick up the mess and rile up Teresa and Melissa. Like Joe does it to Melissa. He'll rile Melissa up to fight with Teresa or to get her amped, and other people will do it to Teresa as well. And then they butt heads. Because when they don't have that energy around them, they can actually coexist. Because when they were on Ultimate Girls Trip, they coexisted. They were fine. They were cool with each other. They weren't even like really at each other's throats. And I like that Melissa didn't play into Joe when Joe was talking about it, where she was like, I feel nothing. And then even Teresa, when Louie was trying to like get it going, she was like, follow my lead. I'm the boss. Don't worry about them. So I feel like if they keep that same energy, we be cool with that situation. So we then have Margaret going over to Jennifer Fesler's house, and Jennifer Fesler is strumming on her guitar. We find out that she has two older kids, I think like that are like 23 and 21. We see her daughter. Her husband is like, girl, I thought you was killing a cat. Like it's not working. So Margaret comes over. Margaret looks good in the confessional. She gives Jennifer Fesler a vibrator. Don't give me sex toys. Like, don't give me that for a gift. I feel like that's something personal, so I don't need you giving me that type of stuff. But it's in the shape of a heart. I said, okay, girl. I guess that's a new version of the rose. So they go out and sit down in what's it called? Near Jennifer Fesler's pool. She has like a cute little setup with the pool and all of that stuff. And they start to talk. And, they're excited for her birthday. And we find out that Rachel is roping in Margaret to get Jennifer to like come out, like, be the decoy and say, hey, tell Jennifer Fesler we're going to come out for dinner. Just a few of us so she can come to the surprise party. And then, Margaret feels like she's overworked and like she's tired. And we find out because, Jan, her ex-husband, unfortunately, he passed away, and she's dealing with that grief. I think that is interesting because it makes me believe that Jan gave Margaret more emotional support than her husband, Joe. I think Margaret actually regrets cheating on Jan because So here's the thing. I know that they were friends, and like Jennifer Fesler said, like y'all spent so much of your life together. I feel like if they could have worked through the like infidelity, maybe she still would have been with her husband, because the way Margaret was like getting emotional, and I know it's only been a year since he passed away when they filmed this, but it's still, there's like something there, like underlining there, where I feel like Jan gave Margaret more emotional support and more emotional stability than what Joe Bonino gives her. Because the way Margaret was like, I don't want to talk about it. I was like, oh girl, that man meant a lot to you. So then Jennifer F brings up, Teresa, and Margaret shuts it down, and she was like, don't bring me up to Teresa, because Jennifer was like, I want to talk to her about the whole like Louie reaching out and threatening your son. And Margaret was like, girl, don't bring me up to that lady. Don't speak about, I don't want none of them to be uttering my name. And Jennifer Fesler said, when you said you was done with them, I was done with them too. Mind you, we see Jennifer Fesler hanging out with Teresa and Jennifer and all of them. So I wonder what happened where, Jennifer F was like, we was done. I like, she's proclaiming her loyalty to Margaret, but now it's kind of like she's backtracking. I wonder what happened with that. But Margaret is very much like in her, like, she dug her feet in. I want nothing to do with Teresa and that man she with, because they came for her son. Louis is denying and say that ain't never happened, but it looked like it did happen, sir. It looks like it did happen. But the next thing we have is of Dolores, Paulie, Louie, and Teresa going out to dinner. And mind you, when they gonna take Big Frank out of the intro card? Like, Frank got a whole girlfriend that he want to marry. On top of that, Dolores is sitting by the Jolly Green Giant, aka Paulie, and it's kind of like everyone's moved on. Put Paulie in the intro with the dogs, But it seems like everything's going fine for Paulie and Dolores. Dolores look good. Dolores is very pretty. So they're sitting at the table. They're reminiscing about how, like, Dolores asked Teresa, so how's everything going with you and the other girls? Teresa's like, I'm cool with Jennifer. I'm cool with Danielle. Like, Dolores is like, are you going to speak to Margaret? Dolores is like, no. Teresa's like, I'll speak to her, but I don't want to have no conversation. I'll say hi to her. That's about it. And then Teresa reiterates, I'm not speaking to my brother or Melissa. Like, it's dead and gone. Dead and gone. So then you have Louie asking Paulie, when you gonna marry Dolores? And Dolores is like looking at him, and Paulie's like, I gotta get divorced first. Like, she deserves, like, I gotta be. But my thing is, like, they've been together for, like, Paulie and the lady he's been with have been separated for 10 years. At this point, let it go. But I do know couples, like, one of my friends, her parents have been separated since she was a kid. And, like, they live their own lives. Like, her parents are still married, but they're separated. Like, her dad, I think, lives in a different state, and so does her mom. But, like, she has a stepdad and a stepmom, and, like, they're a cool family. Like, everybody's like locked in together. Like, I guess, sometimes people don't have to get married, but I guess I am kind of looking at Polly like, why haven't you done it? That'd be my only thing. Like, what benefit has it given you? Because I do know being married does give you some benefits, like with taxes and other things like that. So I wonder if that's why, or if it's more to it than that. So they then start talking about John, Fuda, and all of that. And we see a flashback where Teresa and Louie were like sitting at a table where Louie said, I reached out to John saying like, hey, can we meet up and have a cup of coffee or hash out our differences? And John was like, I'm like, thanks for reaching out, but we can talk at the party, because everyone's about to be at Jennifer Fesler's party. And Louis' whole thing is like, I don't want to have this conversation around all of them and like the minions come and stuff like that. Like, I want to have a one-on-one. So John is like, no, Paulie is like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it should probably be a one-on-one conversation. Nobody else needs to be included. And so that's when Teresa chimes in and was like, girl, Frank Sr. told me that they met up before the reunion to try to take me and my man down. And Dolores is like, huh? And so they do the flashback. And y'all remember where Frank and Louie got into it, where I guess Frank was trying to allude that Louie did some shady business with Frankie, his son. And Dolores shut that down because she don't play about her kids. And so Frank, I guess, felt bad for what he did. So he reached out and called Louie to make amends. And he told Louie, like, well, Margaret, Melissa, John, Joe, and like all the people that was against you met up to conspire against you to take you and your man down, you and your girl down. And so I'm with Dolores in this one, where Dolores was like, this isn't a big like revelation. Like they all do this. And they do. They all do this. And she was like, at this point, it's tit for tat. And that's how I feel about this group. Like this group, nobody in this group to me is like clean. Everybody in this group has been playing in the mud for a long time, where everybody to me is dirty at this point. So it's like, it is what it is. And I can believe that a lot of people click up before the reunion to be prepared and to like make sure they all on the same page. Where I fault them for meeting up is having Jim Fesler in your group telling on you. Because then Teresa says that Danielle said at the reunion, she heard Jim Fesler yell across the couch. Yell across the couch and say, y'all didn't execute the plan correctly, or y'all didn't execute the plan. And then Polly pretty much confirms like, yeah, I heard it too. And then Dolores kind of looks like, why you say that? Why you say that? And he was like, and Dolores like, for real? And then he's like, yeah, if you was deaf, you probably couldn't hear it, but like she definitely said that. So Teresa was like, I want to have a conversation with Jennifer. And Dolores was like, you should have a conversation with her. Now, Jennifer Fesler, girl, I like you, but like, if that is true, why would you not wait until you got into the dressing room or until y'all all went out to dinner to eat to yell that across the stage? Girl, ma'am. So Teresa's just like, yeah, like I know what's up with them. Like they was trying to take me and my mans out. I do have a question. Why are they so like red? Like the only husbands that are not red is Bill, but Bill got melanin. Bill, I think Evan, I don't think I've ever seen Evan red unless he was drinking a lot with the guys. And then Danielle's husband, we've never seen get that red. Everybody else be red as strawberries and tomatoes. I don't know if it's the juice, seeping into the skin, but something. Y'all got to chill out. So we then see everyone preparing to go to Jennifer Fesler's surprise party. We see Rachel and John pull up to the event space. It was nice for the most part. The only thing is I don't really like those champagne walls, especially if they don't have a cover over the top of the drink, because I'm like, it's either gnats in your drink, you don't know if somebody putting something in your drink. Like I want a cover on my wine glass or my champagne glass if it's gonna be on a wall. I feel like that's a sensible thing to think about. Okay, because some people nasty. So they walk in the space. It's a pretty nice space. Again, Jennifer Fesler looks great for 55. So we start seeing people pull in, pull up. We see Dolores and Polly pull up. Melissa asks Dolores about Frank. And I'm like, ain't Joe and Frank like this, like best friends? Why are you asking her about that man and stuff like that? And then they asking Dolores about when she gonna get married. And I'm like, girl, leave Dolores alone about getting married. Mind you, Dolores' BBL is amazing. BBL Drake. But Dolores' BBL is amazing. It's amazing. It looks natural. It looks good on her. And so she's like, no, me and my man are good. We're good. If we get married, we get married. Like I don't feel like Dolores needs to get married. I don't know if she wants to, but I just feel like at this age, as long as you can trust this person, that could be like your life partner in my opinion. We see Danielle and her man get there, and then we see Jackie and Evan pull up and stuff like that. While everyone else is like pulling up, we see Teresa and Jennifer Aiden in the car. And, we find out that Bill's not going to be there because he's in surgery, and that Louie was supposed to be there, but he was all away from business. He had to go to Florida. I don't know what Louie do, but okay. Mind you, I need to say this. I wish Teresa wouldn't have said that all of those bad things she went through was for her to get to Louie, because I feel like Louie is still like a con artist and a snake oil salesman, and like he honed in on Teresa, because Teresa has trauma. Like, as much as Teresa gets on my nerves, she has been through a lot. Like, she went to jail. while she was in jail, her mom passed away. She got out. Her dad passed away. Her husband got deported. So then she became a single mother of 4 kids. Like, she's been through a lot. And I do respect the fact that she said she was angry at God. Like, that takes a lot for someone, especially if you are a religious person or if you are a Christian, to be like, girl, I was pissed off at the Lord. I was pissed off at God. And now, I guess in her mind, she's saying, I went through all of those things. And I think she meant to say, like, I got my happy ending, which is Louie. But I don't think Louie is a happy ending. I really don't think that man is a happy ending. I hope he don't screw her over too badly. But something about Louie is just, it gives sleazy vibes, you know? But she's in the car with Jennifer and they're talking. They can get on the thing about John Fuda. So, you know, the block has been high, especially about his baby mama, because she been retaliating back. And there was some like blind item that went around that said John Fuda likes to use like double-sided dildos, and he has like a drug dealing past. Like, he used to be a big drug dealer back in the day. And y'all ain't gonna never make me hate Jennifer, because when she was like, you know, he could get a little kinky in the bedroom. I don't know why when Jennifer said that, that made me howl. It made me howl. My only thing about Jennifer and Teresa is, if y'all are gonna start bringing things you see online to the show, then you have to be prepared for people to call you out on it and for you to be okay when they did it to you. I feel like Teresa is just retaliating because of the way they did Louie. You know how Margaret was like, he just needs to get in front of the story? I think Teresa's whole thing is like, well, if we could talk about Louie's past and all those women who spoke about him, then we could talk about John's baby mama coming out saying all these disparaging things about him. And I think that's okay, but I feel like last season when Jennifer and Teresa were going so hard about why are y'all bringing up all this old stuff like that, then it's kind of messed up to bring this here now. But I guess they like, if they playing in the mud, we playing in the mud too. That's why I say ain't nobody's hands clean at this point. We see everybody at the party. We even see John even acknowledge about the double-sided dildos. They taking shots and all of that stuff. And then Teresa and Jennifer walk in. Did you hear John say heads up? Like, y'all was pressed. That was so pressed. And you could tell that Joe wanted Teresa to say something to him, because the way he was looking around when Teresa walked in, she paid her brother dust. She said hello to everybody. She even said hello to Margaret. Margaret scurried away. Like, Margaret, when Teresa was like, hey, and she was like, hey, and then she bolted away from her. She shook hands with Jennifer, and Jennifer was like, oh, we could catch up. Like, cool, whatever. And then, they went to mingling throughout the party. Like, everyone was like kicking it. We see them linking up. We see Margaret tell Melissa, like, girl, Teresa said hey to me, and I just said hey, and I ran away. And we see production ask Melissa, like, how do you feel about Teresa being there? And she was like, I feel nothing. And I'm like, Melissa, you said you weren't answering anything about Teresa. So if they ask you, that was their way of getting you to speak about her. You should have just said, I told y'all I wasn't talking about her, so why are you asking me about it? Be more direct, girl. So then we see this awkward scene between, wait, did they do the thing yet? Yeah, no. We see this awkward scene between Margaret, Jackie, and Melissa, where, you know, Jackie wrote her book about her eating disorder and life and all of that stuff. And Melissa was like, oh, I got your book. And Margaret was like, why don't I have a book? Like, are you going to give me a book? Like, do I have to have a podcast to have a book? And Jackie was looking at her like, girl. And I was looking at Margaret like, girl, like, buy the lady book. Like, seed into your friend or sow into your friend. But I guess I'm only picking up on that. Maybe if I didn't know that they fell out, then I wouldn't get it. But it was kind of giving pressed activity about the book. Maybe Margaret thought that Jackie would have gifted her a book first. But I was just like, okay, girl. Then you see Danielle walk behind them with Jennifer saying hi. And then Jackie was kind of giving press too, because she was like, she could say hi to me. She could say hi to me. I was like, Jackie, take it down a notch. Girl, take it down a notch. Take it down a notch. So everyone gets quiet. Rachel gets an alert that, you know, Jennifer is on her way. She walks in. Jennifer is surprised. I feel like she knew. I feel like she knew, because I'm like, girl, I know you saw the camera crew and all them cars outside. I feel like she knew. I feel like she knew. But she was excited. She was like, girl, let's get drunk now. Let's turn up. We then see this scene of it was Danielle, Jennifer, Teresa, and Dolores in this secluded area. And Dolores said something about she feel like she stank. I feel like the AC in there wasn't working, because everyone started to look sweaty. Maybe that's what she was talking about. And Teresa was like, her hair was feeling heavy. And then Jennifer asked Teresa, did you talk to Margaret? And she was like, yeah, I said hey to her. And then Jennifer was like, she was nice to me. I just took it because, she not nice to me. And Teresa was like, she's nice to you because you're friends with me. And then Jennifer was like, normally people aren't nice to me when I'm friends with you. They're actually mean to me because I'm friends with you. And I giggled. I said, she clocked it. People do not like Jennifer because she's friends with Teresa. But I feel like what Teresa was trying to say is that, like, she's only being nice to you so they can ice me out. That's what some of the tree huggers were saying. That's what Teresa was trying to say, that Margaret was only being nice to Jennifer so that they could put Teresa on an island by herself, because if nobody films with her. But then I'm like, people will still film with Teresa. They know it's Teresa. They gonna film, but I don't know. I didn't get what Teresa was trying to say, but if that's what the people saying she said, I was like, okay, girl. All right. So then we see the guys all get into this circle and have a conversation. And then you hear Joe be like, where's your boy? Where's your boy? And I got to give Paulie respect, because he was like, man, who the fuck are you talking about? Say their names. Say the person's name. He was like, name them. Name them. Name them. Name them. He was like, say their names. Like, what are you talking about? So then he finally is like, Louie. And then Polly is like, he was like, I don't know. I think he had like a business trip or something like that. I don't know. And so then John was like, well, he reached out to me saying that, like, he wanted to have a one-on-one conversation. Why would I have a one-on-one conversation after he disrespected me and my family? And then Polly is like, well, he was like, I think y'all should have a one-on-one conversation. And here's my thing. I look at this situation two ways. Actually, three ways. First, I get where John is coming from, where he's like, you disrespected my family. I don't really feel the need to have a one-on-one conversation with you. And also, I don't know if I can trust that you're not going to play games and run this story back a different way. So let's have it on camera. The other part of me, my second thing is, like, I can see where Louie's coming from, where he's like, I want to have a one-on-one conversation because I don't want all the men coming at me at once, because what it feels like is that John wants backup, because honestly, in that conversation he had with Polly, all of a sudden you hear Joe jump in. It was like, do you back that guy up? Do you back that guy up? And it's like, let Polly and John have this conversation one-on-one. I also think things got cut out, because when Polly said, man, shut the F up, I feel like he was like, do you get why I'm telling you that? Because I feel like there was more in that conversation that happened, because then John got mad, and then they start arguing back and forth, and then Dolores is looking. And mind you, I didn't finish my thing. And my third thing is, like, maybe Louie should have came and then they had a one-on-one conversation outside, but I still feel like John would have put on and Louie would have put on to make a bigger scene. So I feel like they probably should have had a one-on-one conversation, and I think production still would have filmed it the same way they filmed when all the men were confronting Bill about his situation. Like, to me, I feel like the guys do have a group think mentality at sometimes. Like, when like more than 3 of the guys are mad at somebody, everyone jumps on that person, because that's how it felt with Polly. Because then Dolores is like, I don't like the way they like surrounded my man. She was like, I also don't like how they all like in his face like that. And she was like, my daddy taught me know your exits, so I'm gonna get my boy out of here. So she's like, the conversation's done. So Dolores is like, let's go. Because I feel like more happened, because Polly was like, man, I will rip his head off. Then you got John being like, if he want to go, we can go. And then you got Joe Benigno telling John to calm down. And then you got John's collar popped up. So I guess he really was yelling, because he was like, don't tell me to calm down, Joe. That's my family. And I said, there had to be more in that conversation that happened. But I still feel the same way I felt last season, that John is going to be Joe Gorga 2.0. And if they stay on this show long enough, I do feel like John and Joe are going to butt heads. And then ultimately it's going to lead to Melissa and Rachel having beef, because John gives that he wants to be in the limelight. He gives that to me. So then the party's like winding down. Everyone's like having a good time. And then we see Jennifer hugging on Rachel saying, thanks for inviting me or whatever. We about to leave. So then Teresa kicks this conversation off by being like something. She said something to the effect of like, I wanted our husbands to talk. You know, my husband wanted to talk to your husband. And then he was like, he could have came. Rachel's like, he could have came. And Teresa's like, well, he had business. And she's like, oh, conveniently. Rachel's like, conveniently having business. And then it kicks up where Teresa's like, my husband's a gentleman. Like, he was being gentle. Like, he wanted us to, like, wanted them to have a conversation. And Rachel's like, their issue is their issue. We don't really have an issue. And then Rachel's like, your husband's a gentleman? Like, a gentleman? Like, your husband doesn't even know the essence of what a gentleman is. So then Jennifer chimes in. She was like, no, if you get to know him, he's actually a pretty decent guy. So then Jennifer's just kind of looking at them arguing. She was like, this is not how I thought this was gonna go. We were not being very nice to each other. And then she was like, gentlemen, your husband told me that he respected me because we both went to jail together and made something out of ourselves. And you know, your husband, it was known as the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. I said, what? The way I scream, because biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. Because Teresa said it with her chest. I said, girl. So then Teresa said, girl, I will rip that girl's head off. So Jennifer's like, let's go. So they're at the candy table. Teresa trying to put the Starburst in her little bag, keeps missing the table. And Jennifer's like, I did not think that would go that way. I really didn't think that would go that way. So then John goes over to Rachel, and Rachel's like, here comes the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. And John's like, what are you talking about? And then she explains to John what Teresa said. So then Teresa's like, so then Rachel's like, my husband's here, Teresa. You want to tell him what you said? You want to tell him what you said? Teresa said, I said. But before that, Teresa said hi to John and said double-sided dildo as he walked away. So then she was like, I said you were the biggest drug. Like, you know, you said you respected me because, you know, we both went to jail. Then she was like, and then I heard you was the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. And he was like, you're going to believe my baby mama, somebody in prison, somebody in jail. I said, girl, what is happening right now? So then he was like, Teresa, you're not letting me get an edge in there. I can't speak to you. I can't speak to her. And Teresa, I will give this. Teresa was holding her own because it was both of them coming at her. Both of them were, Rachel was yelling at her. John was yelling at Teresa. Teresa was yelling back like, girl, like, what's good? And then you hear like Jennifer be like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Because while they're arguing, Jennifer Fesler is getting on the mic, you know, to have a thank you speech. And then, that's when you hear John Fuda yell, has been. And then I think he said, you're the poster child for like mortgage fraud or whatever. And I'm like, well, she's not a has been. And the reason why I say that is because that wedding special got over 1.3 million views in the ratings. She's on Villains. Like, there's people still booking Teresa. So she's not really a has been. So the read didn't land, but I did think them arguing all together was funny. It was funny to me. But that's how the episode ended. It's about to be a chaotic, toxic ride. And you know what? I'm just down for the ride at this point. I'm buckled in. I'm buckled up. Okay. Like I told y'all, I'm not a tree hugger. I don't go up for Melissa. Like, Jersey is gutter. Like it's a cast full of gutter snipes. You know, at this point, let's just enjoy them fighting. Let's just enjoy them fighting and bringing the chaos and burning the franchise down. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.